What if the most beloved empress of her time was brought down not by a political rival, nor by a jilted lover, but by a random stroke of fate? Who wanted Empress Elisabeth of Austria dead? And why was she, of all people, the target of an unexpected and brutal attack? Empress Elisabeth of Austria, known to many as Sisi, was adored for her grace, independence, and undeniable beauty. She lived a life that seemed fit for a fairy tale, a young princess who married an emperor, becoming one of the most powerful women in Europe. But behind the glittering facade of royalty, Sisi led a troubled life, one marked by personal loss, isolation, and the constant scrutiny of an entire empire. Sisi never conformed to the rigid expectations of the Austrian court. She traveled widely, preferred solitude, and often escaped the pressures of her royal life. But even though she tried to distance herself from the public eye, she couldn't outrun her fate. In September 1898, Empress Elisabeth traveled to Geneva, Switzerland, a place known for its beauty and tranquility. It was meant to be a brief visit, a quiet respite from the demands of her role. But on the afternoon of September 10th, Sisi's life would come to an abrupt and violent end. She was walking along the lakeside, as she often did, enjoying the warm autumn air. Unbeknownst to her, a man had been tracking her movements. His name was Luigi Lucheni, an Italian anarchist with a vendetta against royalty, driven by his radical beliefs. Armed with a sharpened file, Lucheni struck Sisi directly in the chest, piercing her heart. Witnesses initially believed it to be a minor injury. In fact, Empress Elisabeth herself didn't realize the extent of the attack until she collapsed moments later. She died later that day, leaving Europe in a state of shock. But was this really just a random attack by an anarchist, or were there deeper motives at play? While Lucheni claimed he was targeting any royal he could find, some believe he might have been manipulated or driven by forces beyond his own understanding. Lucheni showed no remorse, claiming that he simply despised the aristocracy. Yet some historians question his motives. Why would he choose Sisi, a reclusive, often misunderstood empress who had little to do with the politics of the time? Could someone have known of her vulnerabilities, using Lucheni as a pawn in a much larger game? There are a few theories that suggest hidden motives. Some speculate that Empress Elisabeth's progressive views and influence threatened certain political factions, possibly even those within her own empire. Others propose that her death may have been orchestrated by enemies who feared her potential support for more liberal movements. Whatever the truth, her death left an empire in mourning. Her funeral drew thousands, and she became a tragic figure, a symbol of lost innocence and beauty cut down too soon. Even today, the story of Empress Elisabeth's life and untimely death continues to captivate, with questions lingering. Was she simply an unfortunate target, or was there something much deeper at work? Perhaps we'll never know what truly happened on that fateful day in Geneva, or why Lucheni chose Empress Elisabeth as his target. What we do know is that her legacy lives on, shadowed by an act of violence that took her life, but ultimately immortalized her as one of history's most enigmatic and beloved figures. A life of beauty, grace, and mystery, brought to an untimely end by the twist of fate. Who truly wanted Empress Elisabeth gone? We may never know for sure, but her story lives on, whispering questions into history's dark corners.